Welcome to Inside the Soul. I'm your host, Jay Brown. This new show will give you an inside look at your favorite AFL team, the Philadelphia Soul. And now we're going to take a look at the 2011 Philadelphia Soul season highlights. The Philadelphia Soul started the 2011 season with 4 straight road games. Justin Allgood was the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Soul for the first 3 games. Allgood piled up 752 yards passing, threw for 11 touchdowns and 4 interceptions before being benched in Week 4 in favor of quarterback Ryan Venna. After losing 3 games in a row, the Soul welcomed in the Tampa Bay Storm for the 2011 home opener. Despite a 4-touchdown performance by Ryan Venna, Philadelphia came out on the losing end 51-48 when Kyle Chilton kicked a 30-yard field goal as time expired. With a record of 2-5, the Soul came back to Philly set to begin a 2-game homestand. In Week 9, the Soul routed the Georgia Force 68-49. The victory not only marked the Soul's 3rd win of the season, it was also a momentous game for wide receiver Donovan Morgan. The 29-year-old receiver had 5 receptions for 135 yards, 4 touchdowns, recorded his 300th career reception, and surpassed 4,000 career receiving yards. On May 17, 2011, the Philadelphia Soul were involved in a 3-team trade where the Soul sent quarterback Justin Allgood to the Tulsa Talons for the rights to wide receiver Rodney Wright. The Soul then traded Wright to the San Jose SaberCats for lineman Patrick Afif, who refused to report to the team. Meanwhile, Captain Donovan Morgan wasn't done reaching career milestones. In Week 11, the Soul hosted the New Orleans Voodoo, where Morgan scored his 100th career touchdown, leading the way for the Soul with 135 receiving yards on 5 receptions and 4 touchdowns as Philly beat New Orleans 70-49 for their 4th win of the season. In Week 12, Philadelphia hosted the Milwaukee Mustangs. In a back-and-forth matchup, the Soul came out on top when Ryan Venna found Donovan Morgan in the back of the end zone for a 4-yard score with no time left on the clock, giving Philadelphia their 5th win of the year. After losing 4 in a row, Philly got back on the winning track in Week 17 when they defeated the Cleveland Gladiators 49-21. The Philadelphia Soul finished the 2011 season 6-12. Quarterback Ryan Venna threw for 3,800 yards and 70 touchdowns. Wide receiver Donovan Morgan had over 1,900 yards receiving and 37 touchdowns. On July 27, 2011, the Philadelphia Soul announced that head coach Mike Hohensee resigned. And in 2012, Doug Plank will step in as the Soul's head coach. Last week, I sat down with Philadelphia Soul general manager Tom Goodhines. We talked about all the excitement surrounding the Philadelphia Soul for the 2012 season. This is your 2nd season as the Philadelphia Soul general manager. And what have you learned from your first season as general manager, and how will you apply that experience to next season?
Well, the one thing that I took away from the Philadelphia market is that fans are very passionate. And, I grew up in central New York. And Yankee country and not really deep in football, but you come to Philadelphia, this is clearly a sports town. And it's probably the best sports town that I've ever lived in. And I've lived in Chicago, New York City, and of all the places I've been, the fans here are passionate, which is a good thing because it means that they actually care about their sports team, which from a football and front office side of things, it makes things that much better because you actually feel as if you're working for a purpose. And I think out of the things that I've learned from this market is that the fans are on your side, they're behind you 100%, and you want to do your best to make them happy.
Tom, what were you impressed by most during the 2011 season?
Yeah, in 2011, I think that clearly our strongest point was our defense. I mean, up front we had a strong pass rush. Dustin Barno, when he was able to finally come on board, and Darrell Campbell, 2 veteran guys that were able to provide that leadership and stability and pass rush for us up front. I think the thing that developed well for us, and the thing that we were pleasantly surprised with probably about midway through, was actually the development of Brandon Perkins and Jerome Hayes, the 2 linebackers on our team. We started out with thinking they had to play the same position, and with Brandon and Jerome, they actually developed into being able to be versatile where they could switch. either one can play Mac, either one can play the jack linebacker position. And having that versatility with those two actually improved our pass rush. And I think that really, really helped us out.
Well, defense, you said, was the most impressive part of the Soul from last year. Talk about what Dustin Barno, Tanner Varner, and Kent Richardson, what they bring to the table.
I think a lot of those guys, I think you start with the guys themselves. I mean, they're tremendous guys off the field. Dustin Barno is a leader on and off the field. He's also a local kid, went to East Stroudsburg State. He lives right here in Center City, so I mean he's a part of Philadelphia. You love to have that connection with the fans in the city, and not only that, but his ability on the field. He's one of the most dangerous pass rushers in the league because one, he can play edge rusher or he can play the nose, so you can mix him up in the front. It gives you a little bit more versatility for your team. Kent Richardson was a guy that is very green. He came from West Virginia to come into the league his rookie season and really got thrown into the fire. I mean, we had injuries. When Tanner went down, he was forced to come in and play a little bit earlier than we wanted him to. But his development is coming along. He's a strong backside player and also plays the middle very well for the Soul. He's another guy he led the team in tackles last year, but we see a lot of upside for Kent Richardson. We're very excited about him. And for Tanner Varner, that's a guy that you want him healthy for the whole season. He only played 6 games and had 5 interceptions. But if you go back to those highlight reels of those games, key interception, a fumble, an onside kick return for a touchdown, all involved Tanner Varner. You like that energy of what he brings to the team.
Did you feel added pressure due to the fact that the last season that the Philadelphia Soul played, they did win that championship?
I don't think it's added pressure. I think any time that you come in and your goal is not to win a championship, you're probably in the wrong sports and the wrong business anyway. So I don't think it's an added pressure. If you don't have that pressure applied to yourself, then you're probably in the wrong business.
Now, where did the Soul need to improve during the offseason?
I think we did that. I think we addressed up front that the quarterback position was an area that we wanted to focus in on and make sure that we had a top 5 caliber quarterback. And with Dan Radabaugh, we did that. He played with Dallas last year, threw for over 90 touchdowns, and led that team to the playoffs. They were 11-7 last year. So that leadership, and it's no knock against the guys that we had there before, but when you get a guy that's been in that mix, has success and shown that he can do that well for a team, we're excited. So I think the quarterback position with Dan and the 2 young guys that we're going to be bringing on as well to compete, we want to create that depth at that position to be able to make sure that that's a strong point for us this year. And then our receiving corps. I mean, not that it was bad last year, but when you add to Donovan Morgan, a Tiger Jones, a Jeff Hughley, you bring back Larry Brackens, I'll put that receiving corps against anybody in the league.
On PhiladelphiaSoul.com, you talked about linebacker Joe Gooseby and Adam DiMichele, the quarterback, adding depth to the Soul. What kind of impact can the fans expect from the addition of these players?
Well, I think that a lot of the things that you do to try to bring that depth is the younger players and get them into the mix. Joe in Dallas proved that he played the jack position very well for them. Our new offensive coordinator, assistant head coach, Clint Dozell, was very high on bringing him into the system just because what he was able to do at the end of the season for them last year. He didn't have a full season of work, but there was enough film and enough interest in him to bring him in here to create that depth. I mean, we want to keep that linebacker position as a strong point for us, and you just bring in more talent. So I think that adding him to the mix will help us in that position. And Adam DiMichele, he's a local guy, went to Temple. The fans will know him and recognize him really well. We were very impressed with what he did in the IFL, and hopefully some of that can translate into the AFL and what he's able to do here. But you need that depth in quarterback, and as proven with the 08 season, you really need more than one quarterback. Graziani and D'Orazio, a good combination there, got them to the championship. I think we need that with an 18-game-long season. You really need 2 quality quarterbacks, and hopefully Adam will get that chance to prove that.
You also need star receivers, and you already talked about Donovan Morgan, and he'll be back next year with the Soul. What does he do for this offense?
I think it's amazing just because of his ability. Off the field, I mean, the guy's a character. I mean, he's Captain Morgan with the pose for the touchdown, and his athletic ability. I think what we wanted to try to do in talking to Coach Plank is ironic. The other day we were talking about it. Defenses can key on one guy, and if you can shut down one guy, some offenses collapse just because they don't have the variety or the ability to go to another guy. They don't have that other guy that can step up. We think and believe that we've added 3 other pieces that, okay, if they focus and want to shut down Donovan, you're going to have to try to shut down a guy who had 170 receptions last year in Tiger Jones. You're going to have to try to shut down, you try to focus on those 2. Jeff Hughley is one of the best return guys in the league and brings that other element of being a receiver that you can go to. And then Larry Brackens is arguably the best red zone receiver in the league. So, I mean, providing those targets and the ability to not to just rely on one guy, but Donovan proved last year that he can clearly carry a team if he needs to.
And the Soul have been very active during free agency. You talked about a few of the free agents signed: fullback Derek Ross, wide receiver Tiger Jones. They've been added to the roster. What kind of skills will they bring to the Soul for this upcoming season?
Well, I think that the one thing you'll see that's different is the ability to have a rushing threat. Derek Ross shattered league records, 39 rushing touchdowns last year. He just obliterated the previous record. And I believe it was at 32 was the previous record. And he shattered the rushing record, to almost 600 yards rushing. So the guy clearly brings that other dimension when you don't have to rely on your receivers or a different thing. Teams that are able to mix it up and be able to, it's almost a cookie-cutter league. I mean, there's different offenses. There's only a certain amount of plays you can call offensively. But when you add the element of surprise or the ability to have a rushing attack and bring it and have it be a threat at any point in the game, that just makes you more versatile and more dangerous offense. So I think with Derek, that's what he will bring to the table.
And of course, the Soul, always looking for talent, and they're holding open tryouts on October 22nd. What kind of players will the Soul be looking for on that day?
Well, the one thing that I, even in talking to players and recruiting the free agents that were playing in the league last year, is that nobody's going to be handed a job. This will be the most competitive training camp that I've been a part of, and this will be my 10th year in the league. That these guys are going to have to actually come in and work hard. And I think the perception out there as well, guys are just handed their jobs. And we weren't, take the wide receiver position for example. We weren't satisfied with just, okay, we got Tiger Jones and we got Donovan Morgan. No, we still went out, we got Larry Brackens, we still got Hughley. We're still looking at other players. We still want this to be the most competitive team, because once you are satisfied or complacent, that prevents you from being great. So we want to make sure that these guys that are coming out to this tryout camp bring everything that they got, and know that we signed 7 guys from our 2 open tryouts last year that actually came to training camp, and 3 of those players actually became starters on our team. So this isn't just a dog and pony show. It's actually having guys come to compete and make the team and win a championship with us this year.
Bringing a new head coach, Doug Plank, with a history of winning, what kind of mentality do you think he's going to bring to the Philadelphia Soul in the 2012 season?
Well, this is a guy that I've known for many, many years. He's just tremendous. I mean, what you see is what you get with Doug Plank. I mean, if you are a fan or just Joe Schmo on the street and talking to Doug, that 2-minute conversation isn't a 2-minute conversation. It's usually 10, 15 minutes. And you're ready to put on the pads after you talk to the guy. I mean, he's passionate. He knows the game. And just, he epitomizes what Philadelphia is. The guy who, the 46 defensive Buddy Ryan, was named after this guy. And it's just because of his intensity and his ability to just go 100% all the time. And I mean, you can just YouTube his highlights and just see Doug Plank and see what kind of intensity he brings. But is passionate, and players want to come and play for him. I think that's a big piece that we didn't include in the other part of the question. Doug Plank is a big reason why talent from all around the league will, on their short list, will include Philadelphia.
And after all the moves have been made, the new free agents come to town with Doug Plank and the new team, what can fans expect to see from the Philadelphia Soul in the 2012 season?
A team that won't be complacent, a team that will want to win a championship, talent that will continually push to look to improve. Doug is a guy that does not want to settle for mediocrity. He's a guy that wants to win and win big, very passionate, and really, I think the thing that's different from him and other coaches, he's a really defensive-focused coach in an offensive league. And I think that piece in defense does win championships. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's outdoor football, indoor football, or two-man touch football in your backyard. If you can stop the other opponent from scoring, it takes the pressure off your offense. It makes things a lot easier for your team in general. And defense was a strength for us last year, and I think will continue to be a strength for us moving forward.
All right, we're all looking forward to a great 2012 season for Philadelphia Soul. Thomas Goodhines, General Manager, thank you very much for your time.
All right, appreciate it.
On August 8th at Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia, the Soul held a press conference where they introduced new head coach, Doug Plank. For the latest information on the Soul, you should go to our website, PhiladelphiaSoul.com, like our Facebook page, and follow us on Twitter at Soul Football. I'm Jay Brown. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time right here on Inside the Soul.